Episode 521 of Famidaily is an extra special episode. It marks the halfway point of this project. There's 520 episodes before us, 520 episodes after us. I've got a special video to commemorate the occasion, but there isn't a lot of room to fit a state of the project message there. So I'm going to take 2 minutes to give you some brief status updates. This episode's being recorded on the morning of March 12th, and I've actually been slowing down a little bit lately. We're in a real doldrum for the Famicom. I wish I had noticed it going in, but 1989 is the worst year for quality in the Famicom. And the good releases seem to be clustered at both ends. Which doesn't mean that we're not going to see some good or interesting games. It's just that pickings have been thin lately, and they're going to be thin for a while. We've got a lot of baseball to go. Also, something's been luring me in lately. All that said, the back half of the Famicom's catalog is where I think a lot of the interesting hidden gems are. A quick state of the collection as well. At the time of this recording, there are 30 Famicom games that I either don't own or have not ordered. The game for episode 589 has been a real nightmare to source a copy for, to the point that I am thinking it's the rarest Famicom game. And the game for episode 564 is really starting to stress me out, since I ordered a copy weeks ago and it still hasn't shown up at my remailer. Naturally, when you're down to 30 games in a system library, what remains is painfully rare, stupidly expensive, and most likely both. Okay, that's enough on how I'm doing. The bonus episode I'm uploading is about a book that has a reputation in Japan. The title in English is roughly 200 Impossible Games I Want to Beat Before I Die. And 100 of those are Famicom games. So when you're done here, check that out. As for episode 521's game, it's Idle Hakkenden, an adventure game published by Toachiki, so I went in with super low expectations. Turns out I was wrong. Even with the trouble that Famidaily's format gives me with adventure games, I can tell Idle Hakkenden is something special. Unfortunately, Idle Hakkenden is the next member in the 10,000 yen club. If you want a copy for yourself, you could reasonably expect to pay 10,000 yen for it. I have a suspicion about a few factors that cause Famicom games to become very expensive, and Idle Hakkenden has 2 of them. First, there's a cartoon girl on the label. Okay, technically there's 8 of them. I've noticed that that particular art choice tends to drive up the aftermarket price. Second, it's developed by Natsume. In 1989, Natsume was a breakaway developer made up of former Konami employees. Usually, they published their own games. In fact, their first game was the comedic adventure game Toho Kenbun Rock, which was based on the journeys of Marco Polo. They published that one, but somehow Idle Hakkenden wound up at Toachiki. For whatever reason, there don't seem to be many copies of Natsume games running around, and they're fairly popular as a developer, so that seems to push up the price. The title Idle Hakkenden is a reference to the Japanese novel Hakkenden, and of course Idle is referring to that particular brand of Japanese pop singer. The story in the game is about a girl who wants to be a famous singer, and on her quest to do so, she gathers 8 companions. The actual gameplay is fairly standard adventure game stuff. Pick a verb from a menu, try all of the verbs until you advance. A quirk of this one is that there's certain commands that have to be used by certain people. Erica is the girl who wants to be a singer, and so you have to select her and have her smile or dance. And sometimes you'll have to pick out one of her companions. Perhaps the most memorable thing about the game is the musical numbers. Sometimes when you have Erica sing, the game becomes almost karaoke-like. You'll see the lyrics pop up as the song plays. Some people even claim that the music in this game is the origination point for a whole new genre of songs. Denpa songs are catchy pop songs with nonsense lyrics, kind of a parody of actual pop songs. And apparently they started here. The big thing about Idle Hakkenden is the humor. This tends to be pretty divisive on the Japanese side. A lot of people love it, and a lot of people hate it. The people who hate it seem to find it corny. As for myself, well, humor is a challenge to translate at the best of times, and of course I was rushing through things. but I was pretty amused with how goofy everything in the game was, and not just the fashion. Idle Hakkenden is known for being a very easy game. There aren't any real traps where you have to do the same action over and over again, and so most people power their way through it in a couple of hours. There are passwords if you need to stop and continue later. You get one after every chapter. The thing that stood out to me most in Idle Hakkenden is the art. Idle Hakkenden is a real treasure trove of delightful 8-bit design. I love the character designs and all the weird touches as you run around. The game is charming, and I think this is one that I'm going to want to come back and revisit.